From RDS Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we go into some lessons that you should be applying to your own retirement account, and these lessons were all learned at Universal Studios. That's right. On a family trip that I took with the boys, we were able to bring back some stories that can also be applied to your own retirement journey. Making sure that you can enjoy this retirement journey the way you've always imagined is our number one goal here at RDS Wealth. Whether that's by getting you the right amount of information or maybe even helping you map out and walk along this journey towards and through retirement. Either of those two things is possible by simply reaching out to our team, 270-600-PLAN, or sending us a message at contact@RDS Wealth. Now, I'm going to go straight to today's content, but I do have to remind you that if you have not already liked, subscribed, and or given us an honest review on this podcast, we would sincerely appreciate you doing just that. And of course, as always, feel free to share this with anyone that you feel would benefit from the message that you find inside. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast titled Lessons Learned at Universal Orlando. Enjoy the show. Good morning. I hope you are doing well and you are ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. In today's show, we're going to tell several stories and relate some moral to those stories into your retirement journey. I think this is going to be a fun show. I hope that you get a lot out of it. And along the way, I hope that you can apply some wisdom to your unique situation and where you are along your retirement journey. Whether you are 20 years from retirement or you're 20 days from retirement, there's going to be some things that you will hear today that need to be applied to your retirement investment portfolio, and we're going to jump into all of that. But first and foremost, I want to bring some positive focus into your life here for just a minute. And for this pause for positivity, I'm going to take a rather negative story, a very sad story, but hopefully by hearing this story and then hearing my perspective around it, it will begin to reshape the way that we prioritize things in our life. If you're like me, you go through life always having something to do, always looking for the next thing. There's, never grass growing under our feet, as the old saying goes. But sometimes it makes sense for us to just slow down and make sure we're putting priorities in check. You may have heard this story on the TV. There was an assassination of a very prominent CEO. He was the CEO of United Healthcare. He was recently shot and killed on his way to a business meeting, and they're not quite sure exactly why this man assassinated the CEO. They haven't caught the man yet, at least not as of the last look that I've taken at the news. And this man, still being on the run, supposedly had some grievances around some healthcare claims. They're thinking that might have a lot to do with it. But the CEO had been threatened multiple times, and finally someone was able to get to him and shoot him, and he passed away. Now, that's not, like I said, that's not a positive story. But here's what happened right after. Right after his assassination, the market was closed when it broke, when the market news broke. But right after the market reopened, the CEO's passing affected the stock price none. As a matter of fact, the stock price went higher. Now let's think about that for just a minute. And with thinking about this situation should come some perspective. This man who dedicated his time and a portion of his life and certainly sacrificed a work-life balance to run a multi-billion-dollar giant of a healthcare company was shot and killed in broad daylight early in the morning on the street. And the company that he was leading saw an uptick in its price for the share. This company was more valuable with him dead than it was alive. Is that what we're to believe? And if that's the case, then I believe that if this gentleman could come back and tell us anything, he would tell us, make sure you're prioritizing things that prioritize you. You see, this man probably sacrificed a lot of his own time with his own children and his wife and his family so that he could make the stock price go higher. Yet when he passed, the stock price automatically went higher. Simply put, I think it's important for us, and I'm preaching to the choir here, it's important to realize that where we work and what we do for a living is not our identity. What we do is not who we are. The people we spend time with, the people we care the most about, and the people who care the most about us are who and what we should be focusing on. More often than not, I am guilty of putting clients first. And granted, clients are extremely important to what we do. But at the end of the day, when I have drawn my last breath here on this earth, when my race has been ran, when my time is no longer, it will not matter how big our business has gotten, or it will not matter for you what your job title is or how much money you are making per hour. It will not even matter how large your retirement account is. It will matter how many people are standing around your bedside that you have impacted in a positive way. That is what matters. That is what matters in this life. And as we go into this holiday season, I want to take this time to literally pause and think about the people and the organizations or the charities, or maybe it's a church, or maybe it's your family, your wife, your spouse, your kids, your mom, your dad. Who is it in this life that matters the most to you? Who in this life do you matter the most to? And if you can think of those people, you've probably got them in your mind right now. Spend more time with them. Take the extra second to stop when you're late for work. Take the extra second to pay attention to them when your mind is somewhere else. Because in the end, it's all that really matters. All right. That's our pause for positivity. And I hope that I've not brought the mood down. Instead, I hope that I've got you thinking in a fashion that will put some perspective on everything else we're about to discuss, because what we're about to discuss is pertaining to your retirement account and hopefully making that account bigger and keeping it safe in a downturned market and ultimately being able to retire. But retirement should be a time when you can prioritize the things that you have sacrificed. And with RDS Wealth, our team, it is our number one mission to make sure that that is what you do. We are changing the way a retiree retires. We believe that we are changing the world of retirement because we allow you to walk away from the fears and worries of running out of money. We allow you to turn off the financial noise and just spend time with the people who matter the most, making your identity not what you've always done, but who you are impacting. That's your legacy. And we can't wait to show you a little bit more about that right after this break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Looks like we have about a 72% chance of a successful landing today.
Did you catch that? A 72% chance of success? No one would fly on this airline. But you'd be surprised how many people take this approach to their own retirement. This is Dale Smothers, your host of the Retirement Matters Show. Join me right here each week as we discuss ways you can gain confidence in your retirement plan. Good decision-making, time-tested strategies, and a well-written plan will allow you the luxury of relaxation, even when you're going through those panic-inducing turbulent times. As the host of the Retirement Matters Show, we will teach you how to keep your retirement on track, making sure that your destination is everything you wanted it to be.
Tune in for the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Also, check out the Retirement Matters podcast. Just search for Retirement Matters with Dale Smothers on the podcast platform of your choice.
All right, welcome back to the show. If you listened to last week's show, you were posed with a question, and the question was this: who is better, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, or Clyde Beatty? Now, if you didn't listen to last week's show, you have no idea who Clyde Beatty is, perhaps. You need to go back and listen to the podcast. Simply look up Retirement Matters Podcast in the podcast streaming service of your choice, and you can find not only that show, but every show that we've done probably for the last 2 to 3 years. I think we've got them all archived there. Now, if you did listen to last week's show, it's likely that you caught the analogy that we were posing there. In retirement, you are going to be facing certain things. And if we were to equate retirement to playing a game, and in this case, playing a game where in order to score, you had to play certain sports, you would pick your lineup, your roster, you would pick certain people based off of what sports you had to play. In that analogy, the sport that you were going to have to play was going to be different for you than it was your friend or your relative or your neighbor. And not knowing what sport you needed to play was going to make it challenging to pick the right people because, you know, if you're debating basketball, well, it's easy to decide, or maybe you have a stance on who is better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan. But if you're playing baseball, neither of them would be your choice if you had other options. This is where retirement and this analogy come together. In retirement, if you know what you're going to face, it's easier to make decisions. If you have no idea what you're going to face, you may buy the wrong stock. You may take Social Security at the wrong time. You may not plan for long-term care when you should have planned for long-term care. You may take the wrong Medicare choice. All of these things are things we help you do here at RDS Wealth. So by mapping out your retirement and having done this multiple times in the past and helping hundreds of retirees actually cross the finish line into retirement, we know what you are going to face when the time comes. And based off of your goals and objectives, we may want some reserve players sitting on the bench until it's time to call them in. For instance, in the event that we actually need to tame a lion, and again, that's the analogy. If we're doing lion taming inside of your retirement account, we may need Clyde Beatty because that was a world famous lion tamer. But unless we ever face taming a lion in your retirement, we may never actually call on Clyde Beatty. Same thing. If we need income in retirement, we're going to pick an entirely different type of investment than if we don't need income. If we are never going to have to worry about leaving a legacy, we may never pick a certain type of account or a certain type of investment. But if we need to leave a legacy and we've got, let's say, a special needs child who we need to leave money to, that type of investment is going to look different than your friends, relatives, or neighbors. You see, this analogy holds water in a retirement account because Everyone's retirement is different. Everyone's retirement is going to achieve different objectives, and those objectives need to be very clearly understood before selecting an investment or before deciding which one is better. Is it better to invest in this stock or that stock? Is it better to hold stocks or bonds? Is it better to never own an annuity, or is it better to always own an annuity? All of this is decided very clearly once we understand the objectives we're trying to accomplish. Just like if we knew what games we were going to play, we would know who to pick for our team. That analogy is very real when it comes to retirement. And too often, we find even advisors who are competing against themselves saying this particular stock, bond, mutual fund, annuity is better than a different type of stock, bond, mutual fund, or annuity. You may even have people comparing annuities to stocks, or you may have people comparing bonds to annuities. All of these are bad comparisons unless we know what we're trying to accomplish. What I'm saying is, simply put, you cannot decide what is better for you until you know what you are trying to accomplish. And many people fall in one of two camps. Either they don't know what they're trying to accomplish and they go out trying to find the right investments, or they have really clear understanding of what they are trying to accomplish in retirement. They just have a hard time knowing what to invest in. Most of the people that we talk to are in the latter of the two camps. Now, you may have advisors or you may have salespeople who come to you and try to be in the first of the two camps. They say, listen, this is the best investment. This is where you need to put all of your money. Put it here and you're going to do okay. But they've not taken the time to understand what you are trying to accomplish. And for that reason, it could be the worst possible place to put money. In the second camp, when we sit down with a client, we help them paint the picture of what it's going to look like when they retire. Dale, I want to retire at 63 years old. I want to walk away from work and never have to worry about running out of money again. And I want to be able to travel when I desire. I've got a couple of bucket list items that I would like to make sure I purchase and go see around the world. And when it comes time for Christmas or holidays or birthdays, I want to make sure that I can rain a lot of love down on the people that I care about the most and have no trouble giving the gifts, again, without worrying about running out of money. When we hear these things, we begin to work together towards an income target that makes that a reality. And from that, we can build the perfect portfolio for you with risk-on and risk-off investments that give you the right amount of risk in the market as well as the right amount of income in the market, and turn off the fear, worry, and financial noise that causes you to live a suboptimal retirement. And we know that with the right amount of planning and the right mix of investments, or going back to my analogy, the right players on your team, you can live happy in retirement, living the retirement you've always imagined, and ultimately retiring the way you desire. We're going to a quick break. We're going to reset. We're coming back with lessons that you should be applying to your own retirement account right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by RDS Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. I want to tell you about a time that I took the boys to Universal Studios. We loaded up the entire family, myself, Whitney, the boys, Mama, Papa. We headed to Universal Studios in Florida. Had an incredible time that week. It was actually last Christmas when I bought them this gift. and we decided to go to Universal Studios together to have some fun. And there's a few things that happened that I will tell through story that also carry some pretty amazing words of wisdom and or lessons that we need to have in our retirement. And the first one I'll jump to is about my mom, who is very much scared of roller coasters. She hates heights. She hates drops. She hates spins. She hates going upside down. And she hates the noise that roller coasters make as they're climbing the hill, as the chain clanks all the way up the hill. Just about everything that you can imagine on a roller coaster, my mom is not a fan of. But when her grandson, who is 5 years old, looks at her and says, "Mama, will you ride with me?" and it is a Dr. Seuss roller coaster, she complies. We took this trip around Universal Studios. If you've ever been there, you know where I'm at. You know exactly what I'm talking about. As soon as you enter the park on the right-hand side, there is a Dr. Seuss land, and in that little land there, you have a roller coaster, and it's a little kid's roller coaster. There is a minimum height requirement, but it's very, very short, and Matthew at this time was able to ride that ride. One of the only rides he could ride in the park. He looked up at Mama and he said, "Please ride with me." Well, Mama, my mother, looks around, doesn't see any major drops, and decides we're going to take a ride. When she gets up to the ride, she starts to have some fears and worries, and she's panicking. But we decided to convince her to still ride through the ride. And just like she had assessed, there were no major drops. The ride didn't go too terribly fast, and I don't think we got much higher than, say, 30 feet off of the ground. Matthew loved it. He was hands up the entire way. He actually kept screaming for it to go faster and for there to be a drop, and Mama, as you can imagine, was playfully slapping at his hands saying, "No, we don't want to go any faster. This is just fine." Well, after the ride was done, we looked, and Mama, my mother, was completely okay. She was smiling. She had a couple of little attacks there as maybe a turn was taken a little faster than she would have otherwise wished it to be. But all in all, she was fine. Her and Matthew gave one another a high five, and they got to enjoy a roller coaster together. One of Matthew's first roller coasters is with Mama. He'll always have that memory. And as you are very well aware, if you have grandchildren of your own, Mama will have that memory. But had Mama said, "No, I don't like roller coasters," she would have missed out on this memory. Instead, we found a roller coaster that Mama could ride, one that was in her comfort level. Here's the lesson. When you are retiring, simply saying the stock market is bad is a bad idea. There are investments that give you the ability to stay safe, stay within a comfort level, and still have a good, pleasurable experience. This goes for anyone who is too afraid of the stock market. Maybe you should just sit down with someone like our team who can show you other options besides the wild rides of the S&P 500. Now, granted, the S&P 500 is, quote unquote, the stock market. But there are other opportunities that give you upside potential, meaning that your money can grow. You can accomplish the objective that you are desiring and still provide safety to your money. Meaning, if the market goes down, you don't have to go down with it. These types of investments are things that we specialize in with our clients because most of them are just like my mom and don't like going fast or seeing big drops. This is how we help you in retirement. And if you need that assistance, give our team a call. 270-600-PLAN. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to reset. We're coming back with another story from Universal Studios and a lesson to apply to your retirement account. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters after this.
It's 4th and 1 with 2 seconds left in the game. Less than 1 yard separates you from victory. You have the best running back in the league, but your coach calls a Hail Mary.
As silly as that sounds, we see a lot of retirement managers being far too aggressive with your investments when a more conservative play would be a better fit. You have questions, we have answers.
Contact RD Smothers Wealth Management, 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-7526.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's jump into another story at Universal Studios. This one actually has to do with me. I am not a fan of rides that spin or rides that only go in a circle, like, say, the Himalaya, I think is what it's called. So I was finding a ride with Andrew and Matthew, and this one was just going to be the three of us. It's a ride where you get into this little contraption, looks similar to a teacup, and in the middle, you have a wheel. We had not really watched this ride be rode. All I know is that Matthew and Andrew asked me to ride with them. Apparently, they had already rode a couple of times by themselves while Mama and Papa were watching, and now it's my turn. As I am approaching the ride, I see no reason to be fearful of this ride. It doesn't go very high. It seems to go pretty slow, so we jump on. Within about 10 seconds, I realized that this wheel also made the cart spin. So not only are we going in circles, which I'm not a fan of, we are spinning, which I am totally nauseous of. And we are spinning and going in circles as quickly as Andrew and Matthew can grab the wheel. I began to grab the wheel and stop the spin as much as possible, but it was already out of control, and it was not a very fun experience for me. See, I wasn't prepared for the spinning. I was prepared for the slow circle movement, but I wasn't prepared for the spinning. Later on in the day, they asked me to ride that ride again. And even though I'm not a fan of spinning or going in circles, I complied, and we had a good time. This time, I knew to expect some spinning, but I did everything I could to keep it from spinning out of control. A lot of this relates to retirement in the way that if you know what to expect, it's a little easier to stomach. Inflation comes to mind because inflation is one of those things that we just can't keep from happening. No one loves it. Almost everyone hates it, except perhaps the ones who are making money from it. But when you retire, you are spending more money in later years because of inflation. And just like I did the second time around, knowing that it's coming still allows you to have an enjoyable experience. When we build a retirement account, we have to account for what inflation is going to do to your purchasing power. And we have to realize that there will be more money needed from the account next year than there is this year. And the year after, more than next year. This begins to create this nauseating spin effect. But if we are careful and we are wise and we have planned and prepped for inflation, we can keep it from spinning out of control. That's what we do here at RDS Wealth. Build a retirement income plan that not only helps you weather the ups and downs of the stock market, but also generates the income you need today, tomorrow, and many years to come. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with more Retirement Matters after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of RD Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. I've got about 1 minute, and in this 1 minute, I want to tell you a quick story that happened at the beginning of our trip to Universal Studios. It was this. I tried to save some money by buying discount tickets. Come to find out, when I got to the gate, those discount tickets were not valid. Not because I had bought something that was fraudulent, but because I had bought something that was for the other side of the country. I had bought Universal California tickets instead of Universal Orlando tickets. And for this reason, it costed me nearly 6 times more than what those tickets saved me. That's right. It saved me $60. And by the time that all the corrections were put into place by this helpful staff at Universal Orlando, it costed me nearly $360 to fix. That's in addition to what the normal price ticket would cost. The lesson that we need to learn here is that sometimes it may seem like you're saving money by doing it on your own, but on the other hand, if you do something incorrectly, and there are a lot of things to do incorrectly in retirement, it could cost you a lot of money, or even worse, it could completely derail the retirement you have always imagined. My word of advice is to sit down with someone who is specialized in this area, especially if you're over the age of 59 and a half, and begin crafting the retirement you desire today. All right, guys, that's the show. I appreciate you tuning in each and every week. I hope that you have learned a few bits of wisdom from stories that we've told, and that you know you can always reach out to our team to assist you along this retirement journey. If you're over the age of 59 and a half, or if you have recently been forced to change financial advisors, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. We can be a second set of eyes on your account and make sure that you are gearing yourself up for the retirement you've always desired, allowing you to walk away from the fear, worry, and stress of running out of money, turning off all the financial noise in retirement, and simply spending that time, energy, and money on and with the people you care about the most. Until we talk again, whether it's in person or right here on this radio show, I want you to simply remember, always save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and RDS Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RDS Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RDS Wealth Management.